Cyan hides his assassin soul, but one dragon egg exposes everything. Spoiler warning from here. Cyan Vert is not just a noble child trying to survive school politics. He is a betrayed assassin living a second life with his memories intact, and that makes every quiet choice more dangerous than it looks. In the old life, power, family history, and family shadows crush him. Now he returns younger, sharper, and colder, with the chance to avoid the same chains. But here is the thing. A second life does not erase enemies. It only lets Cyan recognize them earlier. So when nobles, academy students, assassins, and hidden powers start circling him, he cannot act too weak or too strong. Both choices can ruin him. The pressure begins far from Cyan, inside a mansion in the Yusuf Empire, where a blonde nobleman starts asking about Cyan Vert, the half-sibling who has gone to the front lines with their father. That smile is not innocent. It feels like someone discovering a piece on the board he forgot to count. Then the story cuts into the snow, where fur-cloaked enemies gather around a glowing purple cube and think they are holding something valuable. Bad read. Cyan steps into the battlefield with the calm of someone who has killed before, takes control of the strange cube, and cuts down attackers with dark red force and clean technique. But victory does not make people comfortable. When he nears a settlement, the fear in the crowd tells you his name is already becoming a warning. The academy looks like a clean reset at first. Formal ceremony, noble students, polished halls, the kind of place where rank pretends to be civilization. Cyan stands among them quietly, watching more than speaking, but the calm is thin. A blonde senior, likely Brian Kendrick, approaches as if he wants to test the strange young lord. Then the air changes. A hostile violet pressure brushes against Cyan, and something in him answers too fast, too violently. For a heartbeat, this does not feel like school anymore. It feels like an assassination about to happen in public. Brian makes the smart choice and restrains the moment instead of escalating it. That restraint matters, because he sees Cyan's killing intent and realizes this child is carrying far more than noble arrogance. Soon after, Cyan is traveling by carriage when the trip breaks apart. His pink-haired maid panics and apologizes like the interruption is somehow her failure, but Cyan stays cold and practical. He looks outside at the snowy road, the soldiers, the stopped vehicles, and the shape of the danger. Then the scene sinks into a night operation in the woods, where masked attackers close around a convoy, and a blonde man ends up captured. Cyan does not rush in like a heroic child. He studies the layout first. That is the assassin in him. Once he moves, the dark red power returns, and the attackers start falling before they understand what entered the battlefield. The rescued man survives, but when he wakes bound inside the carriage, even rescue feels like another trap. The next danger is not only blades in the dark. It is conversation. A tense exchange circles around assassination, family expectations, and whether certain people should be removed before they become inconvenient. Cyan travels toward a prestigious academy with a blonde companion, and the castle-like building looks grand enough to hide every rotten thing inside it. Once he enters, the politics start immediately. Students watch, officials handle paperwork, and arrogant young nobles test where he fits in the hierarchy. The problem is that Cyan is terrible at fitting anywhere. Magical demonstrations, provocation, and dueling pressure begin stacking around him, while instructors and hidden observers measure the room. Then a red-eyed hostile figure watches from the shadows, and ordinary school trouble suddenly looks like bait. The academy's mask cracks with a sudden violent disturbance, and a blonde student is overwhelmed while everyone around him panics. Cyan, though, is pulled into a stranger confrontation. A purple-haired woman appears with dark purple energy pressing around her, and she does not test him like a teacher checking talent. She tests him like someone searching for proof. Cyan stands his ground and reveals that he knows more about the heir she is looking for than he should. That is dangerous information for a boy to carry. Their exchange tightens into a duel of pressure and secrets, and then Keiram enters the moment. The glowing demonic blade responds in a way that shocks her, because it should only answer someone chosen by Heir. Cyan does not beg to be believed. He forces recognition. That recognition does not give Cyan comfort. It gives him a trial. He stands in a dark space surrounded by shadow attackers, with a purple-haired opponent pressing him through killing intent, fog-like blades, and techniques built to corner him from every direction. Secret technique. Impulse appears first, sharp and immediate, and Cyan answers by reading movement instead of wasting strength. Then foundation of decaying surrounding forms around him like a cage of black blades. This is where weaker students would panic, but Cyan is not reacting like a student. He watches the pattern, cuts through the formation, and endures the murderous aura without letting it own him. When a glowing portal opens and the Heir is ordered toward an altar, Cyan understands that this test is leading him to someone important. Now the story gets colder. Cyan faces a hooded red-eyed figure in a dark, almost internal space, with blood imagery, skulls, and a small pink flame-like presence nearby. The figure treats murder not as chaos, but as a discipline. That is what makes the lesson disturbing. It is not telling Cyan to lose control. It is pushing him to understand why he kills, what he wants, and what kind of life he is willing to protect with violence. Cyan listens with the calm of someone who already knows death too well. Then the academy returns, and he sits apart from the other students like a blade pretending to be furniture. A group closes in. A blonde boy prepares a glowing attack, and the confrontation almost erupts before someone demands it stop. The tension finally spills into the open when Aren Severus confronts Cyan in front of other students. The accusation seems tied to what happened to Aren's brother, and Aren does not arrive looking for a peaceful explanation. He brings followers, anger, and the confidence of someone used to status doing half the fighting for him. Cyan stays calm, which only makes the insult worse. The first attackers move, and Cyan disables them with sharp, controlled precision. No wasted motion. No panic. The crowd gets a clear answer. This young lord is not someone you swarm casually. Aren draws his sword and releases a stronger blue-tinged attack, forcing the fight into real danger. A dark-haired senior or teacher intervenes before blood decides the outcome, but by then Cyan's skill is no longer a rumor. After public violence, Cyan's training becomes even harsher. He faces a massive bare-chested fighter who overwhelms him with raw physical power, and this is an important reminder. Second Chance gives Cyan knowledge, not an adult body. He can read attacks, understand killing intent, and think like a veteran assassin, but his muscles still have to earn the future he remembers. So he gets hit. He rises. He studies the opponent's toughness and keeps looking for the crack in a body that refuses to break. Meanwhile, the wider assassin organization is tied to unrest in Spain, and Zikerman Alba becomes the target of a night attack. Cyan intervenes from the shadows, turns the ambush back, and returns to a room where a huge dragon egg is waiting like a disaster with a shell. And right when the egg seems like it might become a weapon, it cracks into something far more complicated. A tiny pink-haired girl with animal-like ears emerges from the broken shell, sees Cyan, and immediately treats him like her father. It is cute for exactly 1 second. Then the consequences land. The panels connect her birth to mixed dragon blood, shadowy power, old assassin imagery, monsters, curses, and forces Cyan clearly does not want exposed in his dormitory. He studies her with the face of someone holding a secret that can ruin him. Then House Vert politics move around him, with figures like Ellis Vert and Wallace Vert tied to approval, status, and possible arrangements. Before Cyan can breathe, a white-haired or blonde swordsman attacks, and Cyan reads the duel calmly enough to counter. This stretch works because Cyan's real enemy is exposure. Every time he solves a problem too cleanly, another person notices the gap between his age and his ability. Brian sees the killing intent. The purple-haired woman sees Keiram respond. Aren sees a student who fights like a trained killer. The assassin world keeps pulling him toward its hidden legacy, while House Vert politics make every secret more expensive to protect. And now the dragon blood child gives him a living mystery he cannot simply hide under the bed. So the power fantasy is not just that Cyan is strong. The thrill is watching him decide exactly how much of the monster to reveal before the world decides to hunt him first. Subscribe for the next manhwa recap, because Cyan's quiet school life is already turning into open war.